Yes, people, what's going on? We are here to discuss 5 players that Ruben Amorim will improve at Manchester United. And we're talking of redemption arcs. We're talking about players with amazing potential as well. We're talking about players that are out of favour. And you know what? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've chosen a couple players that they're not in favour right now. And I moved away from some of the cliche players that we all been discussing for the past 2 weeks. And I think it's fair to play maybe have a little bit of a discussion. But before you do that, please like the video. Super important. It should be down maybe this side underneath if you're watching on your phone or on the laptops or any sort of device. Like the video and also subscribe if you're new. You might like, you might not like what you want to hear. But let's get straight into it. Number one, I think he's the next best thing at Manchester United, especially out of the academy. You know, he came out of the academy with high hopes. And yes, he is one of the cliche ones. And how can you not talk about him? That man, Kobe Mainu. Now, this guy is just going from strength to strength, and you can see he's got the world at his feet and amazing potential to be one of the best in the world. I like to call Kobe Mainu the best player in the world because you know what? I'm quite desperate for some technicalities at United when it comes to some midfielders for once. Whether it's technical ability or just gliding. And we haven't had that in such a long time. And I feel like Ruben Amorim is definitely one to profile his central midfielders very well. And I do believe he'll use him in one of the 8 roles. Kobe Miner, you could say his development has come to a standstill. Under Ten Hag, he used him in a way which didn't suit his abilities, especially when it comes to either doggy work running backwards or just being in position. And we can't have another situation where we underdevelop our players that have come through our academies, aka Marcus Rashford, or someone that we brought in from a young age like Anthony Martial. Never really hit the heights. And hopefully Ruben Amorim and the team and Ineos have got the tools to do so. But Amorim really likes his midfielders. He likes technical players. And who better than Kobe Minu to develop? And I think he's going to have a huge season. We saw on the training videos as well, giving him instructions, arm around the shoulder, telling him where to be, especially when how to receive the ball, where to receive the ball, and where to move it on, and probably create a little bit of a dynamic down that left-hand side. The ones where he does like that role, which they call a segundo volante, aka a fancy word for box-to-box player, to get up and down the pitch. And he's going to have a huge role in doing that. So I think Kobe Minu is definitely number one. Number two. Now, again, I've been watching a lot of tactical videos. And it kind of annoys me how they dismiss this one player. And if anyone sees Ruben Amorim's style of football or any sort of players, you can pretty much pinpoint this one player to say he suits this system to a T. And that man, Amad Diallo. Amad Diallo gets disregarded in so many different situations by these top tacticals. Not going to say any names. You know who they are. They like to put either Garnacho in a situation or Rashford, and it's just not their game exactly. Not in my opinion anyways. And I think if anyone's going to really thrive at Manchester United, again, top potential is going to definitely hit the heights, and he's definitely got a lot to build upon as well. He's probably been one of Man United's better players this year, scoring goals. Even when you get man of the match, he even gets dropped. Or even when he gets player of the month, he gets dropped. So I think Amad Diallo is going to be actually a favourite under Amorim. And reports already coming out already about how much he likes him and he's warranting a start for Ipswich on Sunday. So I think Amad Diallo is definitely going to be one of those key players that we have to watch out for. And he's definitely high on my list for sure. But there's another player who's fallen out of favour, and we're going to talk about redemption arcs. And this is where I have to look at this and maybe give this a little bit more light to shine on. And maybe this is a little bit of a reach. But there was one player under Thomas Tuchel that a few seasons ago was pretty much their key player and definitely had the more consistency of keeping them ticking and had his best seasons in his career even, bar Derby. But that's Mason Mount. And why I say this, you can easily hear on the training video, and it's only one video, by the way. Let's not take too much out of it, but you can clearly see him praising him. It's like Mason Mount knows this role in a 3-4-2-1, that whether it's the left forward or the right forward, but in particular in the left attacking mid role, I do believe he's going to warrant some sort of start, or he's definitely going to be fighting for his place. I think Mason Mount, he can't get any worse. Injury after injury, some question his mentality. There's been questions around his own mental health. Hopefully, he's had the help that he needs. But in terms of moving forward, we brought him in for a lot of money. And there's a lot of fans, including myself, wondering why we spent so much money. And I think he owes the fans a bit of a performance. And I think he owes the fans some sort of response to say, hey, I'm here. I'm a part of this squad too. I can be just as good as anybody else. Not saying he's the next best thing or he's gonna hit us in with 9 out of 10s, but a solid, steady Eddie. Mason Mount should know this role better than anyone other than pretty much Amad Diallo in this role that suits his abilities to literally what he needs to do on a pitch. And I think Mason Mount's got a lot to prove. And I feel like Amorim's going to get the best out of him. For me, when it comes to Mason Mount, if you look at the way even Tommy Tuchel even spoke about him, even just in his instructions alone, he was the main man. I feel like he needs a little bit of that. And I think Amorim's definitely got the tools in his own self in terms of his character to get the best out of the Mason Mounts in this world. He definitely has a lot more to give in terms of goals and assists. And these hot little half turns he likes to plays, and he can beat players on the dribble. It's just that it's always that final part of his game which has been lacking. And something United does need is a lot of more goals and a lot more creativity. Can he be that? We're going to have to wait and see. And I don't think we're going to gauge anything out of a training session or maybe even on Sunday. We might see him get some minutes, which I do believe he will get. But Bruno Fernandes, hold your horses. Someone's coming after your position. Not as good as Bruno, but might cater to the system a little bit better. Again, I can see Bruno maybe being utilized sometimes in the 8 role, maybe. Give Mason Mounts the minutes to play a bit further forward, vice versa. But I do believe Ruben Amorim will take Mason Mount to the levels that we've seen before. Some don't rate him, some do. But one thing that I do know is he's got a lot of energy to give. And one thing with Ruben Amorim's system is that he needs players that has high energy levels and he's going to run their socks off. So who knows? Let's see. He's definitely third on my list. The fourth one. Now, Rasmus Hojlund. I saw an interesting stat earlier. Big up 442. I might misquote them a little bit. Who knows if the stat's even correct, but I wouldn't exactly say they're ones to misquote. Apparently, in just under half of Hojlund's games for Manchester United, he failed to get any sort of touches in the opposition box. Nowhere near enough the volume to get shots off. And I saw even on Twitter talking about how come Xerxes can get shots off, but he can't. I don't think we're catering to the sort of chances Rasmus Hojlund needs in the box. I think he's been playing a different kind of role, and there's a lot of hype around him when he first came into the club. But at the same time, does he help himself? He needs a different kind of role, and he's been likened to Gyökeres in terms of similar styles. Of course, not as good. I think he's about 5 years younger than him, and he's got a lot to prove. Where Gyökeres has been doing it for quite a few seasons, even when he was at Coventry. So Hojlund definitely is one that Ruben Amorim has to improve, can improve, and to be fair, I don't think he can get any worse. I think his confidence is at an all-time low right now, and he needs to fight for his own place as well. Look, Man United had a lot of money spent on him last season. They're talking about a 70 million package potentially altogether, maybe even a little bit more in excess of that. But Rasmus Hojlund is definitely one that, when it comes to running in behind, running in the channels, use your strengths. Back to goal is not Rasmus Hojlund, but just being at the back at post and just tapping them in, or even just being a bit of a nuisance and haggling in the box, that's his strengths. That's the way he works. For me, Rasmus Hojlund's definitely got a big season. Xerxes as well is definitely going to be fighting for his place. And I do believe one of them will get chopped when it comes to the balls at the end of the season. So definitely needs to improve on that game. But I do believe if anyone can show him the ropes, it's definitely someone like Ruben Amorim, who's obviously in Sporting Lisbon, creates a high volume of chances and obviously scores a lot of goals. But that's down to the player. But one thing with Hojlund is, and I do still believe that he is a top finisher. And getting into the right place at the right time just needs a little bit of love, a little bit of coaching to say, hey, this is slow down a little bit. This is what you should be doing, and you need to stop doing that. And I think that can happen. And number 5, a player that you could say has lost a lot of love for the game potentially, according to some fans. Some may say that we misunderstand him. Marcus Rashford. Now, I could have easily put someone else in it, Lenny Euro. That's obvious. Anana, of course. But Marcus Rashford is United's talisman as we speak. Whether we like it or not, he might be the go-to guy. If we're talking about running in behind, we're talking about finishing, talking about what he used to do in terms of volume of goals only the other season, Marcus Rashford definitely can improve under Amorim. And I do believe this is going to be his second coach since Louis van Gaal. You know, he is a lot older now. He's 27. Some will ask for him to leave in the summer in terms of the fans if he doesn't improve himself. But again, if we got another striking option that suits the running in the channels, not out wide doing the playmaking stuff that Ten Hag asked him to do in the box at the right time, it's got to be him. You know, I think Ruben Amorim can show him where to be and not where to be, and something that might suit his strengths. Again, just exactly as I explained with Hland, is Marcus Rashford doing those channel runs, getting in behind, especially against teams of the top six. Marcus Rashford has a wonderful record. But I'm not here to glaze him and say he's going to be the miracle that United need. But he's definitely one of our highest paid players, and he's definitely one that we look towards to getting some goals in moments. If there's Marcus Rashford has anything, is moments. Big six teams who want to attack us, the Tottenhams, the Chelseas, the Man Cities. Who better to run in behind other than Marcus Rashford, who has that experience? This is where we need for him to step up, and I do believe Amorim is going to improve him as a player. Don't know what levels he can reach. You know, he's been here for, well, he's been playing men's football now for a good part of maybe 8 years. But he does owe us a lot of goals. The whole Man United squad owes us a lot of goals. And if Ruben Amorim needs to get the best out of one player, it is definitely him. He has the tools. He's been there and done it. And I do believe he can do it. But let me know in the comments who you believe Ruben Amorim's going to improve. That's my 5. You know, I think there's some redemption arcs maybe for Anthony. Good shouts. Yoro's an easy shout. Malacia, perhaps. Garnacho, maybe. Mazraoui, can he prove better than he is? But I feel like this 5 is a solid 5. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll be back for another video soon. Take care.